Welcome aboard the Athletics Can't Wait Jets podcast, your nonstop shop for all things Jets with Tim McMaster, Zach Rosenblatt, and Marissa Dunn.
Can't wait.
It's almost time, everyone. The much anticipated 2023 New York Jets season, 3 days away. Thanks for checking out the Can't Wait podcast. I'm Tim McMaster, along with our Jets reporter at the Athletic, Zach Rosenblatt. Please subscribe if you're listening to our audio version, or if you're on YouTube, hit that thumbs up symbol and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Football's back. The Lions knocked off the Chiefs by 1 point in a comeback win on Thursday night. That started week one. The Jets will end week one on Monday Night Football. Zach, a lot to get to. How excited are you just to be covering a game soon?
Yeah, I've been saying that a lot. It's been a lot of, the training camp. But you just, by the end, you've done the same thing so many times, and we've had the same conversations about Aaron Rodgers and this team, especially this team more than usual because, number one, everybody wants to talk about the Jets, and they started a week earlier, so it's just like a long trot to this. And I felt right at home last night watching Kadarius Toney drop 4 passes. I felt like I was right back in the mix of football season right there. I'm very thankful that the NFL changed the scheduling up with like this week and the week they gave us in between. I was able to go to Lake Placid. I had a little weekend with my girlfriend and a couple friends. Got to unplug a little bit before the season starts, and now I'm ready to go and I'm ready for football. And yeah, I'm actually pretty excited, like on a personal level as a beat writer, getting to watch football on Sunday, because most years, especially last year, when I'm working on Sunday, you can't really watch the other games outside of like halftime and like the primetime games. And so maybe I'll go watch it somewhere, but I'm looking forward to just being like a regular football fan on Sunday.
Pictures on Instagram of Lake Placid were beautiful, by the way. Very nice.
Big Slide Brewery from Lake Placid got a new hat out there.
New hat. Do you get a hat everywhere you go? Is that kind of a thing?
I've calmed down a little bit because I have like a wall of hats, and I don't even have any slots anymore for them anymore. But so now it's more like if I see a hat that I'm like, okay, I will wear that one more than once, and I will get it.
All right, let's get into things. You mentioned talking about the same thing over and over again with players, but you have a great feature out on The Athletic in which you get to talk to some different people. Matthew Calderoni, he is DJ Reed's resilience coach, and you have a great story out. People, check it out. You can join right now for $1 a month. Go to theathletic.com/can't wait. DJ Reed's resilience coach, talking about everything DJ Reed has been through over the last year, which is just a whirlwind and a roller coaster ride. Everybody knows about his father obviously dying and finding out before week one last season. He now has a little daughter as well, and is a really good story, Zach, just about his relationship with Matthew too, and how he's kind of helped him through all of this, all the way back to when he was cut by Robert Saleh and the 49ers.
Yeah. I wanted to follow up with DJ for a lot of reasons, but one of them being that he's such a like honest and great person to chat with. So I sat down with him pretty early in training camp, and I just wasn't able to get around to fully doing the story until later on. And it felt right to do it week one, because that's when it happened for him, where he lost his father. And, the whole story last year kind of came out of nowhere. If you remember, nobody knew about it, which is part of the story. But like when he celebrated that interception, everybody was like, who is this guy celebrating when they're getting killed at the end of a game? And then, So he got like made fun of, and then quickly everybody, I think since then he's been one of the most popular Jets, I think, in recent memory. Like, I think fans absolutely love that guy. I was lucky enough to talk to his mom last year and write, just all about his dad and his life and his impact on DJ. And I from my own personal experience, even I lost somebody not long before DJ lost his dad last year, somebody close to me. So writing these stories is weirdly easy for me, just because I can relate to like grief, and because I'm on the same timeline as him. And so when DJ said stuff to me, like it'll just hit him randomly sometimes that he's sad about his dad not being here anymore. Like that was kind of the hook for me for the story. And then he when we were, over the course of him talking, he just out of nowhere, he mentioned something called a resilience coach. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? I've never heard of that before. It's just like, it sounds like it's a different version of a therapist, or like more of like it's like a trainer and a therapist. Like they just like work on specific goals, and it's really fascinating stuff. Matthew Calderoni, he's only 30 years old. He's kind of a wonderkind in his own right. But yeah, so DJ, it is fascinating to me. Like this is a guy that, the Jets haven't had a lot of success with free agents, and they brought him in. He was an absolute rousing success last year, and he's very, very highly regarded by this fan base. And we haven't talked since he had his comments last week, where I don't even know time anymore. Maybe it was earlier this week, where he said he thinks the Jets defense can be as good as the '85 Bears or the Legion of Boom, which is a very, very bold statement, but also like. Yeah. If you know DJ, he kind of like wears his heart on his sleeve. He believes in himself and this team, and that's why he's a leader. He's like willing to say stuff like that. And that's why he's also fun to talk to, because he'll answer any question you ask him. Some guys won't, but like he's just like such a personable. With considering everything he's been through, sometimes I forget this. He's only 26 years old, and he's lost his dad. I found this out talking to Matt Calderoni, and then I apparently DJ I talked about in the past. He lost his aunt in 2020, 3 days before a game, and then he went out and had the first interception of his career. His dad had MS his whole life. His mom had cancer that she survived. His parents got divorced when he was younger, and like he still has this like positive spirit. And so he's a very good locker room guy, and he's great for the media. And on top of just being a really good player, it's like the ultimate trifecta.
Yeah, and the theme that runs through the story is sometimes it rains even when it's sunny, which I think I've never heard that statement before, but that really stood out to me as well. Yeah, good stuff. So we're going to do over-unders for the season on this show. We're going to talk about the Bills, obviously, and Hard Knocks, the final episode, and maybe an overall look back at Hard Knocks. And one other thing is that we're going to be doing picks this year, but a little different. We've always done like the hosts of the show, but it's just me and Zach this season with Marissa on leave. Last year we had, a listener on every week, but I felt like that ran its course and it was a lot of fun, but we can't do that again. So we're going to open up this year and do picks for every game, and we're going to do it so anyone can participate, and it's going to be online. So I'm going to throw and hopefully it works. We're not doing it this week just to work out the kinks. So we're going to start in week 2, but I wanted to get the word out there, and I'll throw in the chat the link, and people can let me know if it works or doesn't work. It's through Gridiron Games. So basically, we're just going to pick all the games.
I won last year, didn't I? By the way, right?
That's really why we're. Yes. That's the real reason. Why
so we're ending with me winning. I'm okay
yes, and actually, we did it for 4 years, and Connor won a year, I won a year, Marissa won a year, and you won a year.
So wow, spread out. That's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Walk out. All right, what did we say we wanted to do next, Zach?
Hard Knocks. Let's jump through that real quick.
Let's knock it out. I thought it was a disappointing finale. I thought overall the season was very good, but the finale, the who makes it, who doesn't, is usually one of the most gripping parts of Hard Knocks. And while the Xavier Gipson, Jason Brownlee section, that was kind of heartwarming that two guys like that both made the team.
Yeah,
I felt like we didn't get enough of the cuts and then the other thing that stood out was Aaron Rodgers is everything that we thought he was, all the way down to UFO sightings.
I was texting with Brian Costello, who covers the Jets for the New York Post during the episode, because every week he would make fun of me because I had to write like the takeaways, and some episodes there'd be more stuff to write about than others, and there's just like they spent like 5 minutes on a hallway in this episode. Like it was pretty clear that like the Jets' limited access that they gave them kind of really. It hurt this last episode more than ever before.
You guys can shoot this hallway, but
yeah, and they just
else.
Like milked it. Poor Leaf Schreiber to talk about a hallway for 5 minutes, and then Roger starts talking about a UFO that he thinks he saw when he was coming into the league, and Kaz is like, "All right, you got your story, congratulations." But yeah, it was kind of indicative of the overall season. Like you said, it was definitely entertaining at parts, and there was a lot of cool stuff, and Rodgers being as much a part of it as he was, like maybe we should have expected it, but it was more than I expected. Learning about Xavier Gipson, Jason Brownlee, Tanzel Smart, like there was some of those guys, but the thing that stuck out to me is they didn't really go home with like almost anybody other than Tanzel Smart. Like I feel like in the past, Hard Knocks would like really like dig or even like show footage from a guy's hometown or his childhood, or like it felt like that's like I feel like they could have done that despite the lack of access. Like they could have found a way to like Will McDonald, they touched on briefly as before when we previewed Hard Knocks, I was like, he's fascinating, and they didn't really cover his background at all. And so it was all like very like focused on the right now, which I guess I understand because this Jets team is what it is. But yeah, it just was so clear to me that the Jets didn't really want HBO to get as much access, and that's what happened. I think the cuts thing was a Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas thing. They did not want to show the cuts. I think there would have been there's probably a way you could have gotten around that. The Jets do have control over what goes on the show, which is probably a big part of it, and I'm sure they're happy that it's over and all that stuff. But we got some insight in Aaron Rodgers, his interactions with guys, how he doesn't blow up anymore, but like as you've seen, like he still gets mad and he'll throw some F-bombs around. He's not afraid to do that. And so, yeah, you learned a little bit about this team. I think ultimately Hard Knocks probably didn't help in terms of like how the rest of the fan bases in the league views them. And I think the hype train has gone out of control to a degree, and that's not anybody's fault necessarily, but it happened in part because of Hard Knocks. And so this was like a love letter to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers in a lot of ways is one of the most hated guys in the league. So there's more of a target on their back because of the show, I would say. But there already was a target on their back anyway. So Monday night, everybody's going to forget about Hard Knocks. And if they win or they lose, like everybody's going to overreact. So I'm looking forward to that, weirdly.
Yeah, and it's funny you talk about Monday night because I feel like there's a similar. I mean, it didn't have Hard Knocks, but the Lions have gone through a similar thing in the offseason where the hype train has just gotten like bigger and bigger throughout the season. And I think like going into Thursday night against the Chiefs, I would say most people thought that they were going to come down to earth, and you're not going to go into Kansas City and
in Kansas City,
after the Chiefs, coming off the Super Bowl win. And hey, the hype train only got bigger last night because they win that game in Kansas City by a point, look good doing it, and now everybody's on the Lions train. So that it's going to be telling for the Jets. That said, we've talked about it when the schedule came out. We could transition into this Bills game, that this schedule was not great for the Jets early, right? That they had to survive the early going because it's brutal. And then the second half really opens itself up for this team to get hot and hopefully have a lot of momentum heading into the playoffs. And it starts week 1, Monday night. Now they're at home, but it's still the Bills. It's still the division champs. It's still the team with Josh Allen, all those weapons. Although this week I've heard a lot of people like, I don't know if they're hedging, but like there's these little doubts about the Bills this season creeping in.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat warranted. Like there's some weird stuff going on with the Bills. They got rid of their defensive coordinator. There's all the dig stuff that's been happening. Doesn't seem like he really wants to be there. And if you look at like their depth chart, I don't think they have a lot of depth on offense. They do have Josh Allen and they do have Stephon Diggs. I think their O-line is solid and they have a talented defense, but maybe there's an opportunity to capitalize there. I don't know that it'll happen in week 1, but the most interesting thing to me about this is that this feels like, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but it feels like one of the more important week 1 games I can remember because AFC East, which I think is going to be right down to the wire this year, them, the Dolphins, and the Jets, I think are going to be right up against each other. And for the Jets specifically, if they lose this game, you just talk about the schedule being hard. Like they need to get out of this first 6 games. I think 3-3. And ideally better than that. If you lose the Bills game, the Cowboys on the road, not going to be easy. You can say what you want about the Patriots. They have not beaten them in forever. So until they do, that's not going to be easy. And they have a very good defense, by the way. You have the Chiefs, who are going to bounce back. Travis Kelce will be playing. They have the Eagles in that stretch. And is there one more team I'm missing that they're playing in that? The Dolphins? No, not the Dolphins. I forget who the other team is. Anyway, but this is a hard stretch, and losing to the Bills wouldn't be devastating, but I think it would be challenging with what they have coming. So
Cowboys, Chiefs, Patriots, Eagles, Broncos.
Oh, Broncos. Which I think the Broncos will be better, and that'll be a fun game because all the storylines. Then you get to the bye week, and then after the bye week, they have the Giants and Chargers back to back, which both, I believe the Chargers made the playoffs last year. So that's 2 playoff teams right there. So their first 8 games, almost all of them are against teams that can be viewed as potential playoff teams. Maybe not the Broncos, I guess, but So anyway, I'm jumping far ahead, but Yeah, so I think there is quite a bit riding on a week 1 game, and everybody's going to be watching them. It's Monday Night Football. It's going to be a packed house. I think Jets fans and Giants fans have gotten some criticism, or it's not their fault. It's the team's fault for being bad and MetLife being a terrible stadium. But like as the season has gone on, the stadium just not being completely full. It'll be completely packed on Monday, and I hope it is all season because this is an exciting time. And yeah, I just don't know how this game's going to go because the biggest question mark for me, and I went on Matt Perino's podcast. He does it he's a Bills reporter. Does a great job. Like I don't know he asked me like predictions or whatever. I just like don't know what the offense is going to look like. Like I don't know if they're going to have growing pains. I don't know if this offensive line is going to be cohesive. I don't know what Dalvin Cook or Breece Hall are going to look like at all. I'm confident in Garrett Wilson. I think you know what you're getting out of Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. But otherwise, it's a lot of question marks. Whether these guys are all caught up on the hand signals and the cadences and all the challenges of playing with Rodgers, like, are they just going to try and run it down their throat and win like they did last year with Zach Wilson because they're still working through some things on offense? Or are they going to air it out? Like, I have no idea what this offense is going to look like, and that's kind of the most fascinating part. It could be they come out firing on all cylinders. It could be they look sloppy, and you kind of get it. If the offensive line is bad, I think that would be the biggest red flag. But if they're solid and the offense is still kind of like, you know, touch and go, like then maybe you're not as worried. So there's just like so many ways this can go on offense. I'm completely confident in the defense. They stifled Josh Allen last year better than anybody did. I just don't know how the offense is going to look.
Yeah, when you look at last year, the 2 games, right? They win the first meeting in November, 20-17, coming back from 14-3 down, picked Allen off twice in that game. And then they lose in December, but they still only allowed 20 points in that loss, 20-12 loss.
And Mike White broke like half his ribs, so.
Yeah, that was it. But, you know, you think about that, and it feels like it can't be a shootout, right? And I've seen some predictions that are in the 30s, but when I look at this, I think this Jets defense is going to be great all year long. Yeah. I think they maybe hold the Bills under 20. The question is, can the Jets get to 20 in week 1? I think there's going to be rust, and that's where I think maybe the issues come up. But Von Miller also not playing for the Bills. He's still on the PUP list right now. So it's certainly going to. Do we want to do predictions right now for this one?
Oh man, I probably should have thought about a prediction because I've just been kind of avoiding it as much as possible.
All right, I'll go.
All right, go ahead.
I have 20. Yeah, I had a score, but now I don't like it because I just talked myself out of it. 21-17 Buffalo. And I will say that when the schedule came out, I said the Jets would win 11 games. I said they would go 11-6 this season. And I predicted they would lose week 1. So I'm sticking to that. This is not like, oh, the Jets season's going to be a disaster. I still think this team's going to be really good. They're heading to the playoffs. They're going to be a contender. I just think this is week 1, Monday night. All of it. I think the Bills are just going to come in and do a little more.
So I've gone back and forth on this in every possible way over the last 2 months or however long we've been doing this. But in this moment, I'm going like as I talk myself around the 2 rosters, I do think the Jets, position by position, on paper have a better roster. I don't know whether that'll show itself out on Monday night or what, but so I'm gonna go Jets 20. No, I'm gonna go Jets 17, Bills 14.
All right,
I'm picking the Jets win.
I think that makes sense too. All right. By the way, the spread is 2.5. The Bills are actually favored coming into New York, which is
that makes
very
sense.
Interesting. I
guess that makes sense a little bit, but
I thought it would be more like
closer to even.
Yeah, even with the Jets at home, making it even. Yeah, but. We will see. People don't like my pick in the chat, but hey, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Jets come out and Rodgers looks like 2022.
You could be. I mentioned Brian Costello. You could be like him, who predicted the Jets were going to go 8-9 this year, which fans were not very happy about. So.
Yeah, I didn't do that. All right, you want to do over and unders?
Yeah, let's do them.
All right, we got a bunch of them.
And you guys should jump in with your thoughts as we go through them too.
Yeah, definitely in the chat. Luke, by the way, we got some other picks coming in. I'll throw them up here. Chris says Jets 23-17. Luke says Jets 30-14. If the Jets win this game 30-14, I mean, the hype train.
Oh my God, it will be out of control.
Super
The Super Bowl
or bust
parade
at
will
that point.
probably be the next on Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. If this game's a rout, I can't imagine it being a rout either way. I don't think either team's capable of blowing out the other one in this game.
Yeah.
All right, over-unders. Of course, we're going to start with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers' game started this season. So just so people know, we both threw some of these in, and
I didn't even see you had that Rodgers one in there when I threw my Zach Wilson one. You can combine.
Yeah,
the two
so
right now,
yeah, we'll
honestly.
do it both.
Yeah.
Rodgers, because who knows? Like
Yeah.
Strebler could start a couple games.
Bring him back.
Aaron Rodgers, 14.5 starts this year. What do you think?
I'll say over. I say he gets through the year, is what I think, which kind of answers what the next one will be. But
I think over too. But I think barely. I think he actually ends up not starting a couple games, but I think he'll start at least 15.
Okay.
And the next one we have is Zach Wilson, 1.5. So I'm going to actually say over.
Yeah, I'm going to say under.
Two.
I'm going to say under.
All right.
Maybe he gets one, I'll say.
And that'll get plenty of attention. That'll be good for the podcast. I feel like just the coverage of this team in this season could really use like one Zach Wilson start just to like spice things up along.
Just to suck up the Jets fans, I'll say it'll be week 18 when they can rest everybody.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That's true. That's a good point because he would definitely start that one. All right. We're sticking with the quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers touchdown passes. Now I set this at 29.5. So last year he only had 26.
Yeah.
But 21 he had 37. 2020 he had 48. And those were obviously both seasons with Nathaniel Hackett as his coordinator.
Oh man, this is a tough one. That's a good line. I'm going to say just over. I'm going to say he gets 30. Like right over. I was hesitant.
I'm going to say under.
I was leaning under, and I kind of regret already saying over, but I'm sticking with it. So,
my under's not because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to struggle this season. I think they're just going to run the ball.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head was. But I also just think Garrett Wilson is going to get a lot of looks, especially once you get to the red zone area. Like I just, yeah, I don't know. The fact that there's 17 games now also like kind of flavor some statistical like over unders for me. Though you did say as you said, he only had 26 last year, but yeah.
All right, next, more rushing yards, Breece Hall or Dalvin Cook?
Ooh, man, this is another tough one just because I just don't know what Breece is going to look like. I'm going to say Dalvin.
I'm going to say Breece because I just think maybe Breece has a few more explosive plays. Yeah. So he gets the big chunks a little more than Dalvin, although I could see a world where Dalvin ends up with maybe slightly more carries. But Breece has more yardage. But that's going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah.
I think we'll learn a lot right away on Monday night as far as...
or at least how it's going to be at the beginning of the year, and then maybe later on Breece would get... My theory is that Cook is going to get most of the carries on Monday, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And it's fascinating because we haven't really seen either of them this whole summer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of Hard Knocks and Holmes, we did get to see...
That was the most we saw of Cook, yeah.
Of Dalvin Cook's house. And
his house, yeah.
His comfortable couch, apparently, that he sleeps on. But, yeah.
He's playing his brother this week, by the way, James Cook, on the Bills.
Oh, right. That'll be fun. All right. Game started. Back to that. Mekhi Becton. This one you came up with, and you said 11.5, which is a really good place to put it.
Oh, man.
I will say... I just really want to be optimistic with Mekhi.
I know, yeah.
Like I just feel like
it's more of a feeling thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cop out and say over as well. Injuries is an impossible thing to predict, and Mekhi just hasn't been healthy, but it's a long season. Can he get to 12 games out of 17? Like, yeah, I'll say yes.
Yeah, and 12 isn't. I mean, if he starts 12, we're still going to be questioning.
Yeah, for sure. But
stay healthy. That's the thing.
He's played one in 2 years, so
right. All right, on to the receiving core. Garrett Wilson. I set catches. I set it at 99.5. Last year he had 83 as a rookie. You can go first since
I'm gonna say over. I think he's gonna get a Devontae Adams level workload. I don't think the other receivers are gonna get. He's open when he's not open, and Rodgers is always going to throw to the open guy. So I as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to get like 150 targets this year, I think, or more. So I've been saying this since the beginning of the offseason. I've tweeted it. I think at the end of the year, he's going to be in the conversation with like the Justin Jeffersons, Jamar Chases, Cooper Kupps, like those guys.
Yeah, just a legit. And
Yeah.
I had my fantasy draft the other night, and I was kind of had him circled.
Yeah, I didn't get him in any of my fantasy leagues. I was mad about that.
Yeah, he was gone way earlier than I expected.
The hype train has like caught up like in the fantasy circles.
Yeah,
well, he's been getting drafted early.
There's also 3 Jets fans in that fantasy league.
There you go.
That's part of it too.
We're doing a fantasy league with the Jets beat writers. My team name is I Hate Connor Hughes. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
Of course it is. If you had said to me, "Hey, what's the team?"
Yeah, that's what everybody in the league was like. I was trying to figure out who everybody was, but I figured out that was you right away.
Is Connor in the league, or is he not?
Yeah, he's the commissioner. He set it all up, and and then the draft started, and he wasn't even there at the very beginning of the draft. Like the guy's too cool to like even go to the draft that he eventually showed up. But yeah, we'll see. I'm sure he's going to do something corrupt.
You know why he's the commit? Well, 2 reasons. You just put that.
So he can steal the
money.
reason
he's the commissioner is 1, so he can be corrupt, and 2, because I feel like because he has to cover the Giants for half of his job, I feel like he feels like he's an outsider on the Jets beat a little bit.
You should tell him that he'd love that.
All right, sticking with the receivers. This one's probably more interesting because I do think Garrett Wilson 100 catches is a lock.
Yeah,
he stays healthy. Randall Cobb catches. You set this one at 35.5. I'm gonna say under.
Yeah, I just think his journey to like becoming a surefire starter was like unexpected. Maybe it should have been expected. I based that off what he got the last 2 years. He didn't play every game. He's also older, so I don't know if he'll play every game this year. I lean under, but I'll go over just because I think he's gonna get like those dink and dunks a lot of the time, and he's gonna play a bigger role than I think anybody probably planned, because he's kind of going to take on both the starting slot receiver role and also probably the run blocking role that Corey Davis had now that Corey Davis is gone. So Randall Cobb, when they signed him, I just thought he was going to be a veteran guy in the locker room, and now he's starting. So that's where we're at.
There we are. All right, let's switch things over to the defense. Sauce Gardner, interceptions. Now, remember, last year, that wasn't a big part of his game. As good as he was and as dominant as he was, the dominance was the fact that after a certain amount of time, nobody even threw at him. So he only had 2 picks last year. I'm setting this at 3.5.
I'm gonna go under still. I maybe gets to 3. I think he's not going to be targeted as much. I think there's gonna be some teams that challenge him. I hope I'm wrong, because I think it would be pretty big for the defense if he could get 4 or 5 picks. But I think more of the targets are going to go towards Michael Carter II and DJ Reed. So if you ask me about like DJ Reed, I might say over on that, honestly. But
maybe that's the more interesting over under is Reed and how many he can pull. Yeah. All right, we got a bunch of sack totals here.
Yeah.
Let's start with the individuals, and then we'll get to Bryce Huff.
Yeah, we're a Bryce Huff supporting podcast, so I had to include him here.
Of course, 3.5 sacks. I'm gonna say over.
Yeah, we got to go over. That I put 3.5 because that's what he got last year. Like technically, he gets a lot of pressures and not a lot of sacks.
He's always in there, but yeah.
But he looked really freaking dominant in the preseason. I know a lot of it was against backups, but again, I'm very fascinated to see how much he plays, because they have so many defensive ends. Like, is he only going to play 20% of the snaps? And is that going to piss everybody off like it always does? Somebody mentioned Jermaine Johnson, 10 sacks. I didn't want to include him just so we didn't have like 9 different like sack over unders. But I am very, very high on Jermaine Johnson this year. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a lot of sack season, but I think he's going to make an impact, and I think he's going to be the starter, if not in week 1, then by the end of the year.
All right, so 3.5. We both say over for Bryce Huff. Quinnen Williams sacks 10.5. Last year he had 10, right?
I think he had 11 last year. Oh, he
had 11 last year. Right. Because last year we did this for an over-under, and I think we set it at 9.5.
Because his most was 7 before last year. He had 12 sacks last year. My bad.
Oh, there you
go. I'm going to go under. I just think he's going to be double and triple teamed more, but I do think it's going to set things up for everybody around him. So I think you're going to see, maybe you see Quinnen get 8 or 9 sacks, And then you see guys like Bryce Huff gets 4 or 5 here. Jermaine Johnson gets 6. Wilton McDonald gets 3. Carl Lawson gets 6. Like, I think it's going to really spread around the love, which kind of goes into your next over-under.
I'm going to say under as well for Williams. Remember last year, everybody knew Quinn Williams was a good player, but he hadn't truly arrived yet until last year. So I think just the attention this year is going to be from the first game is going to be next level. The next one is team sacks. Over under 45.5. Last year they had 45. So can they do more than they did a year ago?
I'm going to say over because I think they're going to come to Lou Giordano just posted what I was about to say. I think they're going to push for the Jets franchise sack record. I don't remember what it is. I should have that up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think it was with the sack exchange.
While you look that up, I'll say that I think the difference is the reason they're going to be over this year is because they're going to have a lot more leads. And other teams are going to be
their record is 66, which I don't know if they'll get that high. But 49 is second most, so I think they'll push for that. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be ahead, right, in a lot of games, and they're going to have the opportunity to just attack the quarterback.
Yeah, that's the idea, and that's why they drafted Will McDonald. Like the idea is that they're just going to keep coming at you. They sub out. They got another guy that you got to block. That's a little different. Like Will McDonald is different than Bryce Huff, is different than Jermaine Johnson, is different than Carl Lawson, is different than JFM. Like they just are going to keep coming at you. And so if the Jets really do have leads or they're in positions where the other team is going to be passing a lot, like the combination of their D-line and their secondary, like I don't know that a team has a better like the Eagles would be the only one I could think of. I just think they're so set up to have a great season if everybody stays healthy. And that was kind of the biggest thing last year. They had great luck with health. And if anything's going to change, it's probably that. So if they stay healthy, like I legit think this defense has a chance to be the number 1 defense in the league. I don't know if they'll get there, but I think they have the ability to do that.
All right, special teams. And I just threw this one in. This is a total crapshoot. But Zerline, 50-plus yard field goals, 6.5. So last year he was 6 for 11. Obviously, plus 50-yard field goals depends on opportunities more than anything else, right? I mean, the Jets are scoring touchdowns all season and getting deep into the red zone. He was not going to have 11 opportunities to kick 50-yard field goals. But that said, we're doing it anyway. 6.5 is the line. Yeah,
that is pretty high, but I'll go over. Why not? I do think Hackett likes kicking field goals. Though Rodgers does have a say in it, but I think they'll be in field goal range more often this season at the very least. And so I lean towards that. Ragnar the Jet asks who's returning punts. Just real quick, the other day in practice, we saw McCole Hardman, Randall Cobb, and Xavier Gibson back there. I would guess it would be between Hardman and Gibson more likely. Hardman, because he doesn't maybe have as big of a role in offense as I expected, he probably will be the number 1 guy, but Gibson is highly intriguing, and I think Gibson is going to wind up playing a role on offense at some point this season. So I was tempted to do an over-under on him, but I wasn't quite prepared to do that.
I mean, why else put him on the 50?
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's the idea, yeah.
Because otherwise, he probably would have gotten through to the practice squad. I would imagine they could have gone a different.
They speak highly about him. You saw in a Hard Knock, even more than Brownlee, like Rodgers, Saleh, the wide receivers coach, like they really, really like that kid. So I'm curious to see how much he plays. Yeah, that'll be interesting. And he is fun to watch. All right, Jets Pro Bowlers. You set this one 4.5. I didn't even think about this till right now. So I'm trying to last
tick
year,
them
I
off
believe.
in my
So
head.
last year they had Justin Hardy, Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, CJ Mosley. And then the idea is do you think somebody else will get it?
Well, the thing is, every quarterback who plays most of the season is a Pro Bowler because
Rodgers will get voted in also. So
and then he won't go anyway. But
so that was kind of the thought process because you have Rodgers in the fold. So Rodgers, Sauce, Quinnen, I feel pretty good about. Justin Hardy maybe, I don't know. But like the 4th and 5th candidate would be Justin Hardy, Greg Zuerlein, Thomas Morstead would be in the mix. Garrett Wilson, I think will make it. You have DJ Reed. It's hard to get 2 corners. There are not that many corners that make it, so he's like probably right on the edge. The way they talk about Tony Adams, you'd think he was going to make the Pro Bowl. But yeah, I go over. I think they get 5.
I think the other factor here is all the primetime games and all the coverage they're getting, because that matters when it comes to this stuff.
Totally, yeah.
Being in those games, being a good team. The fact that they got 4.5 last year, on a team that ended up being kind of a disaster by season's end is telling too. So I think that definitely goes over. Trades made by Joe Douglas, 1.5 is the line.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. I think they make at least one trade. I'll say over. Trader Joe. Let's do it. Give us some emergency pods.
I'll say under. I think he makes one, but we'll leave it at that. All right, we got 2 more to go. So these are both wins. Wins through week 9, which obviously we talked about the importance of being 3-3. You set the line at 4.5.
Yeah, I did that. I mean, I guess we can run through the schedule real quick. So they go Bills, Cowboys, Patriots, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles, bye, Giants, Chargers. And the Broncos and the Patriots are the only team that didn't make the playoffs last year out of that group. And so I just thought, if you have more than 4 wins, then you're at 5-3 or 6-2. And if you have less, then you're at 4-4 or 3-5. I'm gonna go over, but I lean towards them being 4-4, honestly. But I'm gonna go over. I'll be optimistic. I've been very optimistic on this pod. It's probably bad for me. I don't know what's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna happen.
I'll go over too, just because I think when the schedule came out, I think the way I had it was 5-3. So
there you go.
All right, and then finally total wins. I just went with the BetMGM line, which is 9.5 right now.
Yeah. I say over because 11. I think I had them going 10-7 or 11-6.
I think you did too.
And so I still feel that way because once they get through that hard stretch, the rest of the schedule not as bad. So I'll go over on that. We're very optimistic bunch, I guess. Based on all of our over-unders, it seems like we think they're going to be very good. So,
or we really hope they're very good.
Or we hope for the pod. Yeah,
we've been doing this pod for a while, and it's been.
You had some fun last year. They were 6-3. You didn't have many winning pods in the years before that, so
that's
progress.
True. Yeah. So this is the one we're going to do. We've never done a playoff pod in the history of Can't Wait. So let's get it done. Let's get it done. It all starts on Monday.
Marissa might be back by the time the playoffs. She would be back.
It's a great point. You know what? That should be the calling card. Get Marissa back on the pod.
Do it for Marissa.
Do it for Marissa. There it is. Because I think she would be back for the first playoff game, even if it's a wild card game. I think she'd be back. So
it'd be amazing. Jets Eagles Super Bowl. Let's do it.
All right. That's going to do it for us. Like I said, we're going to do this. We'll get it on Twitter too, Zach. We'll have to tweet out that link for picks. But the idea is that anybody who wants to be a part of it all season long can join the picks. And what we'll do on the podcast each week is we'll kind of update the standings, like me in 100th place, Zach in 5th place. And then we'll do, and whoever's the top 2 or 3 listeners as well. And we'll make sure that Marissa's involved. We'll try to get Connor to do it too. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. We'll check with it all week, and maybe we'll have something for the winner. I think.
Yeah. My goal is also beyond picks is to have more guests on this season, either other reporters, people at the Athletic, players, whatever it is. My goal is to get some more. Because I think we got good reception from the Sauce and Garrett ones. Obviously, those are heavy hitters, but I do enjoy getting some other perspectives on, especially because we don't have Marissa in here to have a third head on our screen. I think itall be nice. We
haven't signed Strevler to be our co-host yet.
I mean, that's not a bad idea if we're being honest.
All right. Good stuff. Everybody enjoy a full weekend of football. We will be back after the Monday night game, probably Tuesday, right, Zach? We'll get something done on Tuesday. So Monday Night Football, it'll be a late one for Zach. We'll come back sometime probably Tuesday afternoon, have a full recap of that. And then it'll be 2 episodes a week as we go the rest of the season. Unless some crazy breaking news happens and we'd add a 3rd from week to week. But count on 2 episodes. Can't wait the rest of the way. Thank you so much for tuning into the over-unders and weighing in. Get into the picks pool and let us know if it's not working. Also, like I said, it's not working this week because we're going to start in week 2. But if we get in there and something's wrong, let me know. We've never used that website before. So hopefully it goes. Thank you for tuning in to the Can't Wait podcast.